Hello, folks. Game Critics Podcast, episode 30. God, we're so old. I'm Tim Spaeth. I'm joined this week by four of my GameCritics.com brothers. Let's start by introducing Richard Nyack. Richard.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Did I blow everybody's minds by introducing Richard first?
You did.
In my mind, I wasn't expecting it.
Shaking things up, keeping it fresh.
Lost my place in the spot there. That's all right.
Well, just hang on, Chi. It's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. We'll get there. Let's also welcome the horror geek himself, Mike Bracken.
Good evening, everyone.
It's great to have you here, Mike. Doing well?
It's great to be here. I'm super fan-fucking-tastic.
Oh, love it. Also joining us, Brad Gallaway. Hi, Brad.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
It's going well. How's your week going?
It's been better, but I'm recovering nicely, thank you.
Good. And last but not least, our founder and owner, Chi Kong Lu.
Hey, guys. How's it going, man?
See, Chi, we got to you.
Yeah.
Best for last.
Yeah, self-esteem -5.
Oh,
it's all right.
I'm terribly sorry. Terribly sorry. It's going to be fun. Well, folks, our main event this week, it's Mass Effect 2. Because no one else is talking about it, somebody has to. For those who aren't familiar, it's an obscure little indie title. We're doing our part to help the small man. So Mass Effect 2 coming up in just a bit. In our denouement this week, sequels we love, possibly sequels we hate. We'll name check a few and see if we can come to a consensus on what makes for a great sequel. So all that coming up, but up first in our opening salvo, it's our question of the week. Now, this question comes from one of our readers, Timothée Spaeth.
Is that the Klingon pronunciation, Tim?
It's a little alias I go by periodically. I think it's pretty tight. He wrote on the forums, he asked this question: do you ever feel guilty about being a gamer? Do you ever regret the time you've spent playing games? And like I said, this is a forum thread I actually started. And in that thread, a number of our readers shared a lot of actually very personal insight to their experiences tackling this question. I want to thank all the readers for that. Where I was coming from, I've been gaming since I was 5 years old, 6 years old, 7, something like that. And here I am now in my mid-30s, still gaming. And if you phrase that a certain way, I have had the same primary hobby for 30 years. I have the same hobby I had when I was 5 years old. And phrased that way, it doesn't sound very good. It's a little embarrassing when you say it like that. And I kind of feel like if that hobby was something like baseball or painting or carpentry or piano or something other than video games, I think I would feel better about it. But there's just something about video games where I've started thinking, gosh, maybe I should have moved on. Should I have stopped at some point? And I have some theories about this, but I want to know what you guys think. Have you ever felt guilt or remorse over your game playing?
No.
No. So I'm alone here. Tell me why not, Brad.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like you said. I mean, it's a hobby just like anything else. I mean, whether it's stamp collecting, fishing, being a sports nut. I mean, everybody's got something they're into. And although people may change their hobbies over the years, I mean, there's plenty of people that don't. I mean, my dad has built model airplanes since he was a kid, and, he's just about 60 now, something like that. So, I mean, he's had his thing, and he's liked it, and he stayed with it, and it's no big deal. I mean, I think just because games used to have that stigma of being like, the nerds' entertainment, or you could only be a social outcast and enjoy gaming. I mean, that used to be the stigma, but I don't really think it's that way anymore. And I don't think anybody has anything to be ashamed of. I mean, it would be just the same to me as if I was like a football head. I mean, when I look at people who watch football, nothing against football, but to me, I can't stand football. I think it's the biggest fucking waste of time in the world. And when I see these people who memorize years and years of stats, and they watch every single game, every single weekend, and they have the jerseys and all this stuff, I'm like, man, you're a total fucking loser. But at the same time,
Jesus
those
Christ,
football
Brad, I'm a fucking loser. I've got a closet. I've got 15 fucking hockey jerseys. I've got football Jesus, I'm
Well,
glad
see, but let me
I'm glad
finish my
this has come
statement,
out.
though.
I'm glad this has come out now that I'm a loser. Thank you.
I'm glad I'm not at your house right now.
Wait
But,
until I go type anonymous comments on your Mass Effect.
Oh, that was you. That was the comment. I knew it. But I mean, and I say that to be, kind of controversial and to drive the point home because I know that football is a really, really popular thing that a lot of people like. But, you could flip that and those football people could say, man, look at that geek. He's been playing games for 30 years and what has he got to show for it? Nothing, I mean, it's totally in your perspective. And as far as I'm concerned, I love games. It's something I've really enjoyed. I like, just like you, Tim, and the rest of you guys, I'm sure I've been playing since I was like 5 or 6. So that's like 29 years or something like that. So no, I don't feel bad at all. And on top of that, if you ever want to be the best at something, I mean, you have to put the time into it. And at this point, I would be very comfortable putting my personal experience up against anybody else in the industry as far as video games are concerned. On top of the fact that my wife is a gamer, so it's something that we can share. So for me, anyway, I have like nothing to be embarrassed about, and I'm really proud that I've put my time in. And I'm waiting for the hate mail to come in on the football thing now, because I didn't have enough already.
There's this really bad Michael Rappaport movie about comic books. I don't know if you guys have seen this, where he has this one line in it about how he's a hardcore comic book fan, and he has this line where he thinks about to himself that if he had spent all his time and energy towards something else, he could have like solved some kind of disease or created some kind of amazing scientific discovery, and he just sort of muses that to himself. So I always think back to that scene whenever I think about this. I can't even remember the name of the movie. It's a really bad movie, but again, it stars Michael Rappaport. I don't know. For me, I do think that that in large part of writing about games is an attempt to justify all the time that I spent in games and trying to understand why I enjoy it. I don't regret it. I don't think it's a waste of time either. I think everyone's got their own thing, so that's where I stand with it.
That's an interesting point about the Michael Rappaport movie, which I don't know which one it is, but because I sometimes, as we know, my MMO hours are the stuff of legend on this show, and I'm not even saying what they were again. If you want to know, you go back to an old episode and find it. And there are times that the admission and the thinking about how many hours of my life I spent on a couple of games is a little bit depressing. However, and I would think the same thing, like, oh my God, with those hours, I could have gotten a doctorate or something, done something with my life. But the reality of that is that if I hadn't spent that time playing games, I would have spent it wasted on something else. So, I mean, it's nice to think, well, if I had those hours, I would have gone to college and done this or that, or I would have gotten some great career. But the reality of it is I would have probably fucking watched Judge Mathis for 6 years or something. So, but I wrestle with this a lot, and I think we're in a unique position because we fucking play games and we write about them. So there is a little bit of like it sort of justifies the playing and stuff. So, but and I'm always grateful because I've got to go to E3. I've gotten to cover industry events. I've gotten to do a lot of things because I played games and wrote about them. And so I don't ever regret them in that way. There are certainly days where I don't want to play games and I never feel bad about it. But at the same time, and I know I've spent an obscene amount of time over the years playing them, but it's a hobby, and that's what you do with hobbies. So I don't really have a big problem with it.
To kind of piggyback on what you just said, Mike, that's actually a really good point because looking back, I mean, a lot of some of the best memories of my life, so far, have been game related in one way or another, not necessarily like, owning somebody in a particular multiplayer match or anything like that.
Yeah, we have a little more life than it was like really exciting killing Arthas.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like going to E3, and I got to meet a lot of the developers who I really idolize. Like a lot of their work is great. You get a chance to talk to them. I mean, I'm meeting my wife, peripherally through video games and having that interest together. I mean, a lot of the people that I'm really good friends with who are involved in the gaming world, all the other, the folks I've bumped into and just the circles that I've cultivated over the years have been really like personally rewarding. And I wouldn't have met any of those people or done any of those things if I hadn't have put the time into games. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Going back to the football thing. I mean, it's kind of like you if you put enough time and effort into it and you increase your knowledge of the subject, I mean, it takes you places and you go places. I mean, it's kind of like if you're a football fan, you go to the Super Bowl. For us, we go to E3 and you have all these things that just kind of add to it. I mean, it's not like we're just sitting in our homes, just in this dark room on a couch alone for years and years and years. I mean, there's like a whole lifestyle associated with it once you take it past the casual level. I mean, do you guys find that to be true as well?
Yeah, because a lot of my friends that I have now, or I met I didn't necessarily meet them through gaming, but I grew to know them through gaming in several different ways. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel. And especially it's because I'm usually much more at peace when I'm gaming. Like, it's sort of my release mechanism if something's, not going right. So no, I've never felt any guilt about it whatsoever.
One of the things that came up in the thread quite a bit was, achieving balance in your life. And I had a lot of people comment that, well, are you unsatisfied with something? And that's not the case at all. I have a wonderful wife. I have 3 very healthy, happy children. I have a job I like very much. There's really nothing that I'm unhappy about. It's just, I think when you reach our age, you hit your mid-30s, and I don't know, Richard, how old are you, Richard? Can you estimate?
I will be 26 in about 3 weeks.
So you're a kid, basically. You're a young lad.
I'm a young vagrant. Yes,
Good.
basically.
All right. Well, I think what happened. I think when you have a family and you have kids, you do tend to be more reflective, particularly because my kids are getting older and they're becoming, they're starting to have ideas and thoughts, and I need to be more conscious of how I'm behaving around them and how I'm raising them. You do start to look back and think about how you've dealt with things in your life and how you've spent your time. And I think that's kind of what's happening to me right now. So I don't know. I feel like I need to do something about these thoughts I'm having. So I've made a decision, and I put this out in the forums. When I finish Mass Effect 2, I'm going to stop playing games for a month. I'm just going to stop and see what happens. Nothing may happen, or I may discover some other hobby that I've never even considered, and that may become a new passion. But that's what I'm going to be doing. So on the podcast, we'll kind of track how I'm dealing with that. If I'm going through withdrawal, is somebody okay?
Somebody's dying.
Somebody's dying.
I'm sorry. I just coughed. I'm sorry.
You're not supposed to have that kind of reaction. I'm sorry if this was hurtful to you.
No. The wine didn't go down the right chute.
As long as you're drinking, it's fine.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of track my withdrawal symptoms on the podcast, and we'll see what happens. But really, who do you want hosting your podcast more, your video game podcast, than a guy who's not playing video games? Really. So
Hey, Tim, can I follow up with you on something real quick?
Absolutely.
I kind of want to put it to you about why are you picking games as the thing that you're going to quit for a month? I mean, is there something else you're quitting along with that, or is it because you feel like it's not something that you're proud of? I mean, it kind of sounds like you maybe have some kind of, I hesitate to say self-worth issues going on here, but why would, instead of that, why wouldn't you say, well, I don't like my job because it keeps me away from my family too much, or I don't like my wife because we don't get along? I mean, is there some reason that you selected that alone, or is there something else you're doing? Or, I mean, what was the motivation for picking games for this particular point in your life?
Because everything that I have going on in my life right now has a practical, tangible benefit to me. So exercise contributes to my health. Playing with my children brings me joy and helps them. It educates them and brings them joy. Eating allows me to survive. But there's really, there's really nothing else for me to give up, and yet I feel like I need to give it up. And all I have to give up at this point is video games. Everything else, contributes to my life in a positive way. And right now, I don't feel like video games are contributing to my life in a positive way. And so I just want to see what happens if they go away for a while. Because really, other than college, when most of my time was focused on lovemaking, I haven't really ever not had games in my life, and I'm really curious, what is life like when they're not around?
Hey, Tim, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you play games with your children on a regular basis?
No, in fact, I don't let them play games. The only thing that they have ever played,
Like any games at all, or just like
video games. We play board games.
Well, yeah,
and
that's
stuff,
what I'm
but-
saying. Like, you don't play like Wii Sports or something with them or something like that? Or...
No. We have played Rock Band, and only because they like. I was trying to introduce them to music. I really want them to become Pearl Jam and Nirvana fans. They're 4 or 3. But that's it. No, we have not played any games, and I think I am a little paranoid about introducing them to games at this age. I'm not.
How old are your kids right now, if you don't mind saying?
They'll be 4 in March.
Okay, so they're still pretty young. I mean, do you feel like that's going to be your stance when they get older, or is it just because of this particular age, or what's your take on that?
I think it's this particular age. There are so many other things that I have prioritized for them in their education and their play and their interaction with other kids, that video games are very, very low on the priority scale. And for the amount of time that I get to spend with them, which is, a few hours during the week and then all weekends, there's so much other stuff I want to do with them that video games is just no interest in playing.
And it's interesting you bring that up, Tim, because I have a 4-year-old as well, and since he was his early three when he was 3 years old, I've basically let him go to town on video games since then. And he's played a extreme wide variety of games already, mostly on the DS since then. So it'd be an interesting thing to compare and contrast. Or I don't know if you had any questions on that, or if we're going to go too far off topic here.
Well, that might be a good topic for later too, because I have one who's 8, and so I have I've definitely taken him the game route, and we can talk about that at some other time. And I have another one who's 8 months, and so I'm kind of basing my experience from the first one to what I'm going to do with the second one and all that kind of thing. I think we could probably do an entire podcast on kids and gaming. It sounds like.
Well, we've talked about that many times, so why don't we shelve this for now, and we'll come back to it and do a full show, because I know we have other parents who listen to the show, and I think it would be a valuable discussion.
I agree.
Great.
Rock and roll. Well, guys, thanks for indulging my self-reflection, and why don't we take a break? When we return, Commander Shepard's back, but is he better than ever? Mass Effect 2 into. Be right back.
She better than ever.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing.
Oh, shoot. She?
Commander Shepard's a woman, Tim. Sorry.
You guys are playing Lady Shepherds?
I didn't.
Lady Shepard, that's valid.
Oh,
I played a dude shepherd.
You guys are the outliers, man. I don't know where you're coming from.
Yeah,
Probably are.
everyone's a fucking outlier tonight. Jesus. Could you get into the proper spot on the bell curve, please?
Here comes music. There is probably no one listening to this show who isn't familiar with Mass Effect or its newly released sequel, Mass Effect 2: Return of Mass Effect. And that is the topic of this week's main event. Now, as of this recording, Richard and Brad, you have both finished the game, correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Yes.
All right. And Mike and Chi, you have never played a Mass Effect game at all, correct?
Untrue. I played a little bit of. I've just started to play Mass Effect 1. Actually, I'm like 10 hours in.
Oh, all right. Well, so you're more than just started playing Mass Effect. Yeah.
It feels like I just started playing, so I'll leave it at that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And Mike, you haven't played at all, right? Mike?
Mike?
Oh, sorry, my mic was being stupid. No, I have not. I think I hit the mute button on accident. I was like looking at it, it was flashing at me. I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm just embarrassed to admit it or something.
I know.
You're just like,
Well, dude, truthfully, I am, because it's like, Jesus Christ, I've played like a bazillion RPGs. So how did I not play like the Xbox 360's like biggest shooter RPG thing? But it's just one of those things that fell through the cracks because I was really busy playing cool shit like Star Ocean 4 or something.
right.
Or,
Good call there.
Or Oni Chambara.
Right.
Oh, sexy. So I'm about 20 hours into Mass Effect 2. I think I'm a little beyond halfway. I'm not positive. But out of respect to those of us who have either not played the game or haven't finished, we're going to try to stay as spoiler-free as possible. We'll probably talk about the connectivity to the first game, the general structure, maybe a high-level view of a few quests, but we will try to respect those who haven't played the game. If we have to go into spoiler territory, we will give you a warning when we do so. So just to kind of set the stage, for those of us who have played, let's just give a brief overview of what system you're playing on. Are you playing on PC or Xbox? What gender is your Shepard? What class are you? What alignment were you? Just so everybody knows where we're coming from. And I'll just very quickly, I'm on the Xbox. I'm playing as the Vanguard. I am a male Shepard with ginger-colored hair. And I am playing as a Renegade, or the evil class, for those who aren't familiar with the term.
You know, when you say Renegade in this game, I always think of that fucking old Lorenzo Lamas show, Renegade.
Oh, yeah.
No motorcycles involved.
No Bobby Six
Unfortunately,
Killer.
they're motorcycles.
Why was that never a game?
I don't know, because it sure should have been.
God, it should have been.
Well, there is a Renegade game though. That the original beat 'em up is Renegade.
Right.
Oh, that's
But
right.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have any Lorenzo Lamas in it, so.
Oh, shoot. All right. That's another podcast we need to do.
It is.
The Lorenzo Lamas podcast. Richard, what about you? What system are you playing on? Tell us about your Shepard.
I am playing on the PC. My Shepard is a male. His name is Dirk Shepard, and I am playing as the Vanguard, and I am playing as a Paragon.
Okay, good. Brad, what about you?
I am a female Shepard, and I have to say that I'm glad I chose the female Shepard because the voice actress, I guess, is really superb. So I'm really glad I went that route. In the first Mass Effect, playing on 360, by the way, I played pretty much Paragon the whole way through, the goody two-shoes. But as I made my way through Mass Effect 2, I noticed I was still leaning Paragon strongly, but there was more than a few times when I went Renegade because it seemed to kind of fit the situation. So I kind of straddled both realms this time around. And I'm playing also as a strict soldier, none of the biotic powers or the engineering abilities, just guns for me.
Okay. Now, Brad, you and I played on opening night. We both got our copies, and we were both kind of back and forthing on the Twitter. Your early tweets on this game were not, I don't want to say they weren't kind, but they were really kind of depressing to me. I actually went into a deep depression reading some of your early comments about the game from, say, the first 5-10 hours. Talk about that a little bit. Talk about those early impressions, and also talk a little bit about your expectations coming in from Mass Effect.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be clear, I actually was depressed. Like, I was really, really down because anybody who's familiar with the site knows that I have a really great and profound love of the first Mass Effect. I mean, that was, to me, one of like the greatest games of all time. Just, I mean, it had problems, and people are always like, but it had the elevators, and the textures popped in. Okay, like, fuck all that stuff. Like, none of that stuff mattered. To me, it was such a transcendent mix of like characterization and storytelling and action, and it got so many things right. Just, I mean, everything was just like phenomenal. I have like a dozen memories from the first game that I will never forget that I felt were so tremendous. So, of course, the bar was set pretty high. Saying that though, BioWare is such an awesome developer. I mean, they haven't really biffed any of their games as far as I'm concerned. I mean, some are better than others. And some have issues and all that. But, on the whole, I will take a BioWare game over pretty much any other developer's game in the industry right now. I mean, they pretty much are the top of what I enjoy playing. So the bar was set high, and it was coming from a developer who I have nothing but the utmost faith and respect for. So it's pretty fair to say that I was expecting a lot. And when I first popped in the game, I mean, I haven't been that excited about a game in a while. So it was like, oh my God, I get to come back to Mass Effect. I had such a great time. Continue that experience. Really looking forward to it. Had my evening clear. It was, made a little snack and everything was good. And I couldn't get over the fact that like it was just so profoundly different than what I guess, I think it's fair to say it was different than what I expected, different than what I wanted. And it was a little difficult at first. And I don't think it's really one of those cases of where it was like I wanted one very specific thing, and because I didn't get it, I didn't like it. I think it was more of along the lines of, wow, I really don't like all the changes they've made, and I realize that a game can't stay static forever. I mean, sequels are always going to be different in some form, but it's just like I hit a bunch of things in a row that I really, really strongly disliked, and I just started like crashing. Like I just was really. I think it's fair to say I was pretty depressed those first 2 nights or so.
Talk a little bit about specifically what depressed you.
Well, I mean, I think... Oh, man. I mean, a lot of it was just the technical stuff. I mean, I really enjoyed a lot of the gear and a lot of the assigning the mods to the guns and the different things that you can do to your team, and that was just like totally gone. Like, I mean, I opened up the instruction book and I was going through the menus. I was like, where is it? It's got to be here. Where's all that stuff? Where'd it go? And it was just gone, And the thing about the ammo, like I found myself playing as a strict soldier class. I don't have any of the powers or anything, so I found myself running out of ammo like pretty often, and that was like a real drag on the gameplay. I mean, the level designs immediately struck me in the face as being really, really like night and day different from the first game. I mean, not like the first game was any kind of open world game or anything, not at all, but the levels were much larger. They were much more, open for exploration. They weren't as focused as they were. And I kept hitting, I was doing these missions. I'm going through the missions as I'm playing the game. And I just kept feeling like, wow, this is like Gears of War. Like every level is pretty much a straight line. And every room has these 3-foot barriers that don't exist in anywhere in the world except for in shooter games. I mean, have you ever been in a hallway where it's littered with 3-foot high boxes in the middle of the floor? I mean, I've never seen that. So I noticed in a hurry that BioWare had really taken a lot of liberties with the formula, and rather than being RPG with shooter thrown in, it was now shooter with a little bit of RPG thrown in, and that to me was pretty disappointing. I mean, it's still a good game, and I want to say that I do like it. I finished it. I mean, I finished it with 100%, so I did everything you can do in the game. I really went through and I saw all the content, but I think it was a little bit of a dirty trick on BioWare's part to kind of shift their focus on genres. I mean, I think it really was more than anything else an RPG the first time around, and I don't think that's necessarily true in Mass Effect 2. So
here's the part where I don't get, if you don't mind me asking a question here, is that the first game was wildly successful, I think, right? I mean, how much more successful can they get, with a sequel? Why do you think they felt the need to make these changes? Was it to capture a wider audience in some way?
I mean, I think that's part of it, but I mean, I think that, regardless of how successful it was, and it was certainly successful, I don't think it was quite as successful as BioWare wanted it to be. Mm. And they said several times that they were really listening to the fans. They were going to take all that feedback to heart. But like I said in my review, the review which has won so many fans and has really captured the hearts and minds of our readers.
I think it's the review we refer to as a statistical outlier.
Statistical outlier, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, as I stated in that review, I feel like a lot of the changes were like wild overreactions. I mean, it's like, did it really bother people that much that the loading screens were that long? Did it really bother people that they had to drive the Mako, the four-wheel drive or whatever, the off-road vehicle that you had to drive around? I mean, did it really bother people that much that BioWare felt the need to completely strip that out? I mean, I just felt like they were caving in too much to some of the nitpicking that was going on, rather than trying to really justify what it was they had created in the first place. So I don't know if that's really what happened, but that's kind of my feeling on it.
Hey, Brad, do you mind if I ask you another question, Brad?
Please, yeah.
You said that in the first game it was mostly an RPG. Now it's a shooter with RPG kind of dabbled on it. What defines an RPG to you?
Well, I mean, it's not just. That's a really good question, Richard. I guess a lot of it is just it's the game overall, the game's design. I mean, in the first one, if you really had to bullet point it out, I mean, it was like you had a ton of skills that you could, give your people. You could kind of build them the way you wanted them to be built. You had a bunch of equipment, so you could modify things like that. The game really put a heavy focus on exploration. So if you wanted to kind of role play being the Galaxy Explorer, there was plenty of opportunity to do that. A lot of the quests did not have any combat in them. A lot of them were simply discussion quests. I mean, not the major ones, but a lot of the side quests. So there were plenty of times when you could simply go into a place, talk to a certain number of people, and you never drew your gun. You just kind of talked it out, and you played the role of actually being Commander Shepard, solving these problems. So I really liked that aspect of it. I really felt like I got to play the game the way I wanted to play the game. And on top of that, I mean, it was like the guns in the first one had infinite ammo, so if you wanted to use the sniper rifle all the time, then you could. I mean, you could really play the game however you wanted to play it, within reason. So, in shifting that, I mean, when you look at the second one, the levels, I mean, to me, the biggest thing is the levels. I mean, the levels are now straight lines. I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed, but they took away the map function when you're in a combat zone, and I think, honestly, it's because the levels are so linear. If they had maps, you would see right away, like, how linear they were.
Yeah, you don't need a map.
You don't even need a map.
Get lost.
Literally, exactly. And to me, that's not a good thing. I don't like that. I mean, I like Gears of War, but when I want Gears of War, I will go and play Gears of War. I don't want to play Gears of War in space when I'm playing Mass Effect. And, I just feel like a lot of the things that made it an RPG, I mean, they're still there. I mean, it's still an RPG for sure, but it to me feels way more weighted on the shooter aspect. I mean, every level is designed specifically around the combat. You have to, search for ammo. They force you to switch between the guns, and it's like, I mean, it's fine. If it was any other game, it would be fine. But to me, it feels like too much of a shift away from what made the first game superb and fantastic.
The ammo comment is interesting because, and I know we played different classes, I never came close to running out of ammo.
Yeah,
ever.
Neither did I.
And that could be because we were mixing up some biotics. But even, halfway through the game, I got the sniper rifle, and it came packed with like 60 bullets. I never came close to running out of ammo. But I do know what you say. Did you find the combat system, or just the combat in general, to be... I mean, how would you rate it? If you compare it to Gears of War, I don't think it's anywhere near the quality of Gears of War. The shooting doesn't feel as powerful. You don't feel as in control. It really feels kind of like a stripped-down Gears of War. I was not terribly impressed with it in the first game, and frankly, not terribly impressed with it here. Frankly, it's really, really easy in Mass Effect 2. Much easier than in the first game, to the point where it really doesn't matter what gun you're using, and it doesn't matter what powers you use. You're just going to blow through it.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the gripes I had with combat, and was really one of the only gripes I had with combat, is that the game was really, really easy. But as off of that, a lot of the things that I didn't like about combat in the first game are gone now, and mainly it was because a lot of the cheap deaths from snipers that you can't see, or like a bazillion rockets heading at you all at once, those are all gone now. The teammate AI was a lot better in this one than it was in the first one. In the first one, they were totally useless. They just got in my way all the time. I had to do everything. They didn't do anything without me telling them to.
Yeah.
In this one, I find myself actually using the squad commands a lot more than in the first game, because my team is actually good at doing things now.
See, that's interesting. So are you using the command where you would actually dictate where they go?
Yes.
On the map? They teach you that once in the tutorial, and then I never used it again.
I use it all the time.
You don't need it, though. I found you didn't need it.
I was using it all the time just to get my guys in better cover, so they would be distracted by them, and then I would run around and flank them with the shotgun. And then it would basically be charge plus shotgun, just owns the shit out of everything.
That is really powerful, but I found that the guns are strong enough that you could just pick people off from a distance. The shotgun seemed like, yes, it was fun the first few times, but more of a hassle than it needed to be when you could just pick people off from afar. different tactics, I guess.
Well, it's funny you guys are bringing this up, and one thing I really kind of want to mention is that when looking at all the different comments that people have made, specifically in reference to the combat engine and the shooting, I mean, it definitely is improved by anyone's standard. It's better than it was in the first game, and I don't have an issue with that at all. But it seems like the fan base is kind of split now. It's like people who really like the shooting aspect of it really feel like, man, this game is awesome. But when you go back and talk to some of the people who like myself, were more involved in the RPG side of it and really didn't, care that much about the shooting aspect, I think a lot of people in that camp maybe are feeling like maybe it's not, like the changes are not for the best.
I thought... Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Richard, I wanted to get your overall take before you commented specifically also, but what was your general impression of the game?
Of the entire game?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. There was initially, like Brad, there was a little shell shock at the beginning of all the differences. It is kind of a double-edged sword because they do a lot of things that I really, really liked. But then on top of that, there's some changes that I did not like. And really, most of my disappointment with the game stems from what they did not do rather than what they did. So...
Like what? What's an example of that?
One of the things that, and as I was playing the game, I kept finding myself comparing it kind of unfavorably to Dragon Age, and Dragon Age took a lot of the advances that I was wanting Mass Effect 2 to take. Example, Dragon Age did away with karma points, the universal good-evil slider, and they replaced it with this individual approval ratings for each of your party members. That, usually on my first playthrough in games like this, I will straddle the moral gray area, just because usually it's the most practical way to play the game. And in Dragon Age, I could do that, and it would be great. It would be like I could choose whatever I wanted to without whatever fit the situation, without any fear of retribution from the game itself. When you have karma points like this, it's whenever I want to make a decision that seems like it fits the situation the best, and I'm not say I'm playing a Paragon and I get one of those little quick time events that says, hey, do the Renegade option. It feels like I'm sacrificing the identity of the character I'm trying to play. And Dragon Age did away with that, and I was hoping Mass Effect 2 would do away with it, and they didn't. And another thing that I was hoping Mass Effect 2 would do is they go to the trouble of creating all these great characters and creating all these great personalities, but you never get to see them bounce off of each other. You only get to see them in one-on-one conversations with Shepard. And that's something I really, really felt was missing in the first game. And they do it a little bit more in the second game, but not nearly as much as they did in Dragon Age.
And that to me is like one of the best parts about Dragon Age, let me tell you.
Yeah, they absolutely nailed that aspect. And the worst, there was a really, really bad instance of this in one of the missions, and I'm going to describe it for you now, since I'm assuming that's what you want me to do.
Yes, please.
No,
I'm just kidding. Whatever.
I was going to say each character has a loyalty mission that deals with something that is going on in that character's life, and one of them pertains to a character wanting revenge. And for Protect the Innocent, we'll call this guy Jim. And Jim is wanting revenge on this guy that betrayed him, and blah blah blah. You're getting ready to go do the deed and kill this guy. And Shepard and Jim have this really great dialogue about the nature of revenge, and it's stuff like will this really make you feel better? Is it worth it? Just stuff like that. And it was a good conversation segment. And the third person I had with me, which that's another problem, is I have 11 people to choose from, and I can only have 2 people with me. But anyway, the third person with me, we'll call him Bob. They make it clear that this person has killed a lot of people in his lifetime, both as part of his profession and for personal reasons. So Bob, you'd expect, would have a very unique perspective on what is transpiring between what Jim is going through and what Shepard may be saying to him and stuff like that. And so you'd expect Bob to sort of chime in with some kind of insight to the situation, and he never does it. Bob never said a damn thing throughout the entire mission. Like, he just kind of sat around obliviously and stared at the wall. And that wasn't the only time. That happened a lot, where I was expecting the third character to chime in with something, and they never did it, and it was really disappointing.
Yeah, and for those who have played Dragon Age know that was like one of the best parts again, that the third, very often, the third or the fourth party member even would have their own take on the whole thing, and that, that just blew my mind in Dragon Age.
They bound, like, when I first saw that in Dragon Age, I'm like, that BioWare was listening to me when I complained about this for Mass Effect. I'm like, I wanted them to do exactly this, and they did it. And so I was like, wow. And then they didn't do it in Mass Effect 2. I'm like, well, goddamn.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. I mean, that was one of the things that really took me by surprise as well, because seeing all of the advances and the characterizations that they made in Dragon Age, like you guys just mentioned, I mean, the cross-team talking and, people having their own multiple viewpoints on any situation, I mean, that was fantastic, and I loved that part of Dragon Age. That was the part that saved Dragon Age for me, honestly. And then to see that none of that stuff was implemented in Mass Effect felt really fake and really shallow in a lot of points. I mean, like for the situation that you said, Richard, that particular quest, I went through that quest with the exact same team that you did.
Did you?
And I thought the exact same thing. And I thought, wow, how come so-and-so over here isn't saying a goddamn thing? And, it's really odd. It feels really unnatural.
And what's really funny is that when they're having that conversation, they're in like that this taxi cab. And like the third person, he's just sitting in the back, looking out the window throughout the entire conversation.
I know, you can see him too. Like he's like daydreaming or something. He's like thinking about what he's gonna eat when he gets back to the mess hall and shit.
It's funny. I also took Bob on that mission, and I think we all kind of subconsciously thought that here was an opportunity for three, killers to talk about killing and revenge, and that there would be this great conversation that happens, and it never happens. Very strange that we all took Bob, though.
Yeah, well, Bob's loyalty mission is also in the same area, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the cast. And so much of the structure of this game is built around assembling this team. And getting the team together it's a staple of quest fiction. You got to get the Fellowship together if we're going off to Mordor. How did you feel that worked? I mean, it seems to comprise a good majority of the game is just getting people onto your team and then going on their loyalty quest. How did you guys feel about that?
This was a double-edged sword for me, because one of the problems I thought with the first game is that you didn't really get to see all of the team in any sort of depth. There were 4 of your team members that you got to see in depth, where it was 2 that you did not. Whereas in Mass Effect 2, you get to see everyone in a lot of depth. Actually, I loved all of the loyalty missions. They made me like characters that I did not think I was going to like when I first picked them up. And I mean, that part of it was a great addition. And on the other side, that sort of depth that you see all the characters in is done so at the sacrifice of the overall plot. Not much happens in regards to the main story, which was kind of disappointing, given that the narrative in the first one was just so great and it worked so well, whereas in this one it's kind of thin. So it's like they stepped it up in one area and they stepped it down in another one. Although I do have to say, the events that happen at the end of the game would not have been as good as they were if you didn't get to see the characters in that kind of depth.
It's interesting you say that, Richard, because I kind of agree and I kind of don't. I think I have a slightly different take on what you said. I mean, first things first. I mean, I don't think it's any kind of a spoiler to say that the game is three quarters of the game is collecting people. I mean, so
yeah.
Really, it's a full on solid 75% of your playtime is collecting characters.
Yeah, the game is less about defending the galaxy from evil aliens and more about 12 people. Well, okay, it's about 11 people because I refuse to count that stupid DLC character that does nothing. But it's more about.
But I'm sorry. It's a huge departure from any traditional RPG structure. or any narrative structure for that matter. I mean, I can't think of anything in any media anywhere that spends that much time simply introducing characters. So that to me felt like it was a real risky move on BioWare's part to do that. And honestly, I don't think that it paid off. One thing that really kind of bugged me about this game, and it's kind of the opposite of what Richard said about the first one, was that I kind of liked that you didn't really get deep into it with every character the first time around, because to me that wouldn't be really realistic. I mean, you might get to know a couple people if you spend a lot of time talking to them, and they would open up to you, and that, you know, that kind of was like a natural progression. But in Mass Effect 2, like, everybody opens themselves up and puts everything they have on the table, whether you really talk to them a lot or not. And it felt really bizarre to have a person who I talked to one time call me over and say, "Hey, Shepard, I really want to talk to you. I know, you know, I haven't talked to you at all this entire mission, but I'm having this problem with my family that I need you to get involved in." And it was like, okay, this is weird. I mean, if I had maybe even spent time cultivating that relationship, it would have made sense. But
well, I mean, if you're being recruited to be on this mission to save the galaxy, so to speak, I mean, it's sort of reasonable to expect, you know, some degree of camaraderie to develop among total strangers.
Well, with some of them, but the
well, I mean, 11. I mean, it's not unreasonable. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's unreasonable that they would all get to know each other on some level.
If there was actual interaction going on, I would agree with that. But it's like in the specific instance that I'm talking about, like the characters that I'm thinking of never came with me on any missions. I barely talked to them on the ship because I didn't care for them that much. And so it's like, to me, they were like the Ashley and Caden of the first game, where I was like, I could care less about you guys.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, I didn't care for either one of those characters. But I mean, I think that was kind of the good thing, was like, you could choose to really get close with some characters, and you could choose to not. So for me... Oh, I'm sorry, what's that?
Oh, I was going to say Caden. I mean, Caden I hated. He was the worst one. But Ashley I thought was all right, especially, I mean, you get to see a bit of depth on her part.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the cool thing, was that you could or you couldn't. And for me, personally, I didn't care, so I was like, whatever. And that worked out for me just fine. So to have every single character have this same structure of, like, Shepard, I need to talk to you. They put their quest out, whether you really put any time and effort into them or not, felt really contrived. It felt really fake. And it felt really tedious. I mean, I really would have rather had half the amount of characters and have each one be like twice as deep as it was, or to have more interactions. Or to take them on a mission and give you guys some time to kind of bond as a team. I mean, I think that the ending was awesome. I do agree with you there. The ending totally twisted things around for me. When I was really on a downward slope, when I hit the end section, I thought, okay, that saved a lot of my experience. Like, the end is really worth it. But I think they could have done it with less characters. I think they could have structured it more in a balanced fashion, to where you collect, you know, 6 characters, 8 characters, and then you have just like some story missions, balance it out a little bit more. To me, it felt like way slanted towards the cast, and it's a shame, because I honestly do think that BioWare does such a good job that any of those 11 characters, except for the DLC character, could have been the star of the show. I mean, I think they all were really interesting. I think they were all really well written, and I think it did their own work a disservice by not giving each of those characters the time to blossom the way they should have, and the way they could have if there were less of them.
Could they have used, like, the Dragon Age campsite structure, where, you know, they're all sort of, you know, waiting around during off times, and then...
Well, they do, sort of, because they're all sort of waiting around for you on the ship to come talk to them whenever you want. So it's the same. I mean, it's bigger than the campsite, but it's the same concept.
Right, but the only difference, according to Brad, is that they'll force initiate, you know, these opening up segments, whereas in Dragon Age you have to kind of get to know them, which kind of makes sense to me, right? I mean,
I was never forced into initiating with them, because once you recruit someone, you can choose not to talk. I mean, they'll tell you that they want you to talk to them, but you don't have to go talk to them if you don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I mean, is like, if you look at your quest list, like, out of the blue it'll say so and so wants to talk to you, which triggers their quest list, as opposed to Dragon Age, where they'll be in your camp, but if you don't talk to them, like, nothing ever progresses. And to me, the Dragon Age approach is the more believable, more realistic. Like, I want to have the initiative myself of kind of like building that relationship, and then it makes sense when they finally come to me and, you know, want me to, like, talk to their mom or something like that, you know? I mean,
I'll agree with you there. But the thing is, like, initially when I saw, like, all those, like, when you start recruiting people and you see, like, all those slots for people, I'm like, man, what the hell am I going to do with, like, 12 different characters? But then once you get all of them, and I started thinking about, I'm like, well, okay, who could I do without? I couldn't answer the question because I liked all of them. So, I mean, yeah, I kind of agree that there were too many, but then when I asked myself, it's like, well, okay, who could I get rid of? Then I don't know.
And it's funny you say that because I totally felt the opposite. I felt like I knew maybe like 2 or 3 of them well enough that I really couldn't get them off my team, but the rest I was like, whatever. And when you combine that with the fact that so many of them have power overlaps, like I didn't really feel like it mattered to me who I had on my team. And granted, I didn't play on the insane difficulty. Like I had a couple people try to call me on the carpet for playing the game, on less than the hardest possible difficulty. So maybe that changes things, but whatever. I mean, in my experience, like so many people had the same biotic powers and so many of the same abilities, except for that special loyalty ability, that I didn't feel like there were so many people it didn't matter. Like it was just, I could pick any 2 and it would be fine. So I didn't have the same feeling of variation that the first cast in Mass Effect 1 had. In that instance, I really felt very specifically that Tali is my tech, and Liara is my strong biotic, and so I could kind of tell very clearly which person had which role. And in Mass Effect 2, I felt like that was really blurred, and everybody was kind of weakened for it.
Let's bring this home a little bit. There's a couple of just random things I want to talk about. Let's talk about Shepard's helmet, because when Shepard is deployed on a mission, he never takes his helmet off. His helmet is always on. So he's having conversations, just casual conversations in a bar.
Again, he, she.
I apologize. He, she.
Well, I mean, you can speak as if you're talking about your own Shepard and have it not be awkward. So you can say he.
It would be incorrect, though. It would be incorrect.
We don't want to be sexist. We don't want to be sexist.
You're right. Absolutely. So here's what happens, and I can't believe this got through play testing, and there must be some programming reason why this is the case. But his helmet never comes off. So if he's drinking alcohol at a bar, he drinks it through his helmet. There is a sequence where you encounter a former lover, and you haven't seen each other in a long time, and you close in on each other, your heads approach, her lips part, and she rubs her lips all over the faceplate of your helmet. Her tongue emerges from between her lips, and she licks your helmet. I mean, nobody could have played through this game and not made a comment during the QA process that he can't take his helmet off for at least making out. I mean, come on.
Totally agree. And it's bad with the DLC armor. I mean, they made the new DLC thing of buy our version if you want to get all the good content and stuff. I mean, I had, I think, 3 other sets of special armor, and I ended up not using any of them because you couldn't take the fucking helmets off. It was ridiculous. I mean, you're like you said, like you're at a bar, you're making out with somebody, you're walking around, like take the helmet off. And the sick thing was they perfected that in Dragon Age. You would have your helmet on during combat, and then when you go to talk to your party, your helmet is off because that's just the polite thing to do. Yeah, and I have no idea why they did not carry that over.
Yeah, it's like when I was playing Dragon Age, and it's like at first I was resisting putting helmets on people. I'm like, oh, this is going to be awkward when I have to talk to them. But then I talked to them, and the helmet came off. I'm like, oh my god, that's awesome.
All right.
And it's so common sense, like in hindsight, don't you think? I mean, it seems like, why haven't games always done that?
I agree. And another thing that I noticed is there's one of the characters that gets his armor partially destroyed and burnt at some point early on in the game, and he's wearing that armor the entire game. Like, he never changes it. He never fixes it. It's just burnt.
Yeah, that was
the
dumb.
whole time.
Yeah,
that was weird. And even the alternate outfit for him is still burnt. It's
Oh, is it really? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, palette swap ahoy.
Mm-hmm.
Other thing I want to mention, how did you guys feel about the connectivity with Mass Effect 1? So much was made in the promotion of the game that the decisions you made in the first Mass Effect will impact and personalize your Mass Effect 2 experience. Brad, do you feel did that meet your expectations? Did it go beyond?
I think it did. In fact, I want to say that it went beyond my expectation, honestly. I mean, all of the major decisions were accounted for. And when I went through the second time, my second Mass Effect 1 playthrough, I went through again specifically to make sure that I made all the decisions that I wanted to make before starting Mass Effect 2, I actually was surprised at how many little things carried over. I mean, some of it was kind of gimpy. I mean, you would get like an email from somebody from the first game, and they would say what happened to them, which I felt like they could have put a little more effort into. But I appreciated that they did it at all. And there was actually more than a few instances where I saw someone or something that had a connection to the first game that I didn't expect. So I did feel like it was worth, me going through the game again to make those choices, and I thought it paid off.
I did not play with a previous save game. I have had to reinstall Windows since the last time I finished Mass Effect, so I in turn lost my save game because I did not think I was going to need it. So I lost that save. But the saving factor is I had two Shepards, and my main guy, Commander Dirk Shepard, was the default decisions for the second game. There was only one thing different from my previous save game, at least that I noticed. And it's a pretty big thing that was different, but that was like the only thing. Everything else was the same. So I kind of lucked out there.
I think it was fantastic, but I'm not positive because I can't remember so many of the things I did in the original Mass Effect. I mean, I remember the big decisions like who lived and who died, but a lot of the minor things where somebody would walk up to you on the station and say, "Hey, remember when you saved my life 2 years ago?" And I had no recollection of saving their life whatsoever, but I knew that was drawing from my decision in the past. But I can't think of another game that's done something similar, at least recently. The old Quest for Glory games, you could import your character through the games, but really, really ambitious, and I will be stunned, or really looking forward to seeing how they handle that in Mass Effect 3, given they have 2 games worth of decisions to account for. So last question, speaking of Mass Effect 3, and Richard, I'll start with you. If there's one specific thing that you want to see in Mass Effect 3, what would it be?
The elimination of the karma point meter. I would much prefer having my Paragon Renegade thing be like a skill that I could put points into, so I could just basically choose which alignment I wanted instead of having it being dictated by actions. Because it was another thing that was really disappointing about that is when I would try to straddle the moral gray area, and I mean they're totally fine with me doing it, but I would not get as many Paragon or Renegade points as a result, and thus I would have conversation options that were locked to me for that reason. So it felt like I was being punished for not going to one side or the other.
Brad, if you had to pick one thing that you'd like to see Mass Effect 3 do, what would that be?
If I had to pick just one thing, I think that I would want them to de-emphasize the combat. And I know that's probably going to be a pretty controversial thing, but I really felt like no other game could really touch on that feeling of exploration and role-playing in space the way that the first Mass Effect did. And I was really disappointed to see them take the Gears of War route for number 2. So if anything, I would like to kind of see them steer the whole ship back to exploration and dialogue more than shooting.
The one thing I would like to see in Mass Effect 3 are some extra chairs installed on the Normandy so that your team can sit down instead of leaning up against a bulkhead for the entire game.
Hey, there's one guy that's sitting. Actually, there's 2 of them that sit down.
Yeah, but like Zaid is in the cargo bay the entire game leaning against a wall.
Well, Zaid's a dick. Nobody cares about him.
He's got a cool scar.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, all right. Well, before we take a break, let's go to Mike Bracken and just check to see if he's breathing. Mike, are you breathing?
Yes, I am breathing.
Okay, good.
I have been here raptly paying attention to everything that was going on.
Anything
Don't lie. You're working on an essay for your school for your classwork.
Doing statistics over there.
I wasn't doing any statistics tonight. Sorry. I heard a lot about outliers today, so that was good. I didn't hear it more.
Okay, now you're beating that to death, Mike.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's take one last break. When we come back, we'll name check some sequels we love. Stick around. We'll be back. We are back. So much of Mass Effect 2 is defined by its connectivity to the first game, so I thought we'd talk about sequels in general and some of our favorite sequels over the years. That is the topic of this week's denouement. So let's start with Mike Bracken. Mike, hit us with a sequel that you love and cherish. And
All right. I actually had several, so this was a little bit difficult for me just picking one, but because everybody thinks sequels, oh god, they suck, they're terrible, they're killing the game industry, and generally I agree, because there are a lot of really shitty sequels out there, but there are a few good ones, and for mine, I went with Persona 4.
Bastard.
Did I steal yours?
You stole one of mine.
Yeah, because, not only is it a huge advance over the original Persona, but, I mean, even when you look at Persona 3, which is a really great game, Persona 4 then takes what was great about Persona 3 and makes it even better. So that's exactly what I look for in a sequel, and that's why that particular game is my choice.
beautiful. Thank you for stealing the thunder from Brad.
Glad to do it.
Let's go to Richard. Richard, hit us with it.
Well, I have two also. I have a sequel that I love and a sequel that I think is the worst possible game that I've ever played. The one that I love is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. And I hear a lot of stuff about that I agree with, about how the Zelda games basically really haven't evolved at all since Ocarina of Time. It's all about, get the boomerang, go to the dungeon, get the hook shot, go to the dungeon, so on and so forth. It doesn't really change that much. Majora's Mask did change that, and I think it changed it really, really well, because the stuff everything that they introduced to the formula was already on top of what had been established in Ocarina, like the transformation masks, the time system, which, I mean, a lot of people hated the time system, but I thought it was fantastic, so that was good. So yeah, it was all the changes that they added on top of what was already great was what I thought made it a really good sequel. And then the other sequel, which is the worst game I've ever played, Mega Man X7.
I knew it was going to be a Mega Man game. I just had this feeling.
Take everything that made the first three Mega Man X games good, like X1 to X3, throw it in a blender with a crappy 3D engine and some hamster shit, and that's what you get in Mega Man X7. It's like everything that could possibly be bad about this game is bad. Like, the levels are bad, controls are bad, the soundtrack is not up to the high Mega Man standard, the art direction is not good. If I had to assign this game a rating, it would be -pi, just because its awfulness never ends, and it just betrays the entire Mega Man identity. So there you go.
Which system was Mega Man X7 on?
PlayStation 2.
Okay. All right. I know to avoid it now. Chi.
Sure, I really struggled with this question. It seems like a simple question, but then when just trying to find something that worked for me was hard. But ultimately, I came to Street Fighter 2, actually.
You bastard! You stole both of mine.
All right, sorry. I'll keep this short, Brad, so you can go on about it. All right, you know what? No, that's fine. That's fine, actually. I'll let you elaborate on it, because actually I wanted to bring up another more obscure game that I thought was kind of interesting too, which was Resident Evil Dead Aim, and that was actually sort of the precursor to Resident Evil 4, which everyone loves. But the thing that was interesting about Resident Evil Dead Aim, it was a light gun game, it was a gun con game, and to me, in a lot of ways, that really took the Resident Evil formula in a direction that I thought was really great. Actually, it was the stages were really realistic. The whole gun element actually sort of refreshed the whole thing. And like I think a lot of the ideas that they took from that game were actually ported into Resident Evil 4, which was a huge success. So I'll just leave it at that.
And I guess we can skip Brad. He's got nothing left in his tank. I mean,
well, he can talk about Street Fighter 2.
Well, I mean, first of all, I do want to call attention to your pick, Chi. I think Dead Aim is a really good call. I think that's a really excellent observation. But yeah, I was going to say for a game that took what was good and improved upon it, I was going to say Persona 4, which Mike Brackett already talked about. I was going to say in terms of taking an idea that didn't quite work and then finally nailing it, that was going to be Street Fighter 2, which obviously is one of the biggest games of all time.
That's a huge undersell, dude. I mean, they totally they just
I mean they basically they took the core concept, two people fighting. I know I played Fighting Street several times and it sucks ass. I mean it's terrible. It's barely even playable. So the leap between Fighting Street and Street Fighter 2 is pretty monstrous. I mean, so that was
it's like a whole nother game. I mean,
yeah, it's you can't even really call it a sequel really. So,
yeah.
But gosh. Since both of my things were taken, what can I go with? I don't have anything really as far as positives left, but I did have a couple negatives. And as far as sequels go, the one thing that really bugs me about sequels is when people don't realize what's good about their game and then they chuck it out the window in favor of making some sequel that has almost nothing to do with the source material. And there's been a number of those, but the one that jumps off at me is Puzzle Quest. If anybody's played Puzzle Quest Challenge of the Warlords, that was like one of the surprise hits of whatever year that came out. I mean, everybody, I don't know anybody that doesn't like Puzzle Quest. I mean, that game just dominates. It's a really great game. But when they came around to the sequel, Puzzle Quest Galactrix, it was like they systematically took every single thing that was good and got rid of it. And all they had was left was stuff that was just terrible and boring and drawn out and tedious. And that to me was like one of the most perfect ways of how not to produce a sequel. So
I hate that game.
It's terrible.
Galactrix.
It makes me angry. Yeah,
genuinely hate that game.
There is nothing to like about that game.
Nope.
At all.
Nope. So I took I'm going to say a more elevated approach to this question, a slightly different take on it. But I tried to think of a sequel that's sort of uniquely sequel-y, and I went all the way back to 1991. Were you guys playing games in 1991?
Of course.
Were you playing PC?
Yes.
Were you playing PC adventure games in 1991?
maybe.
A few.
You might have been. You may have been playing Space Quest 4, Roger Wilco and the Time Rippers. This is a time travel game, and the entire plot involves Roger Wilco, our hero, moving from Space Quest sequel to Space Quest sequel. It is essentially a sequel about sequels. So he travels to Space Quest 12, Vohal's Revenge 2, Vohal's Revenge being the subtitle of the original Space Quest 2. He also visits Space Quest 10, Latex Babes of Estros. And then the big event for me is he actually travels back to Space Quest 1, and the VGA Roger Wilco is walking around the old EGA Space Quest 1, and it has all the old PC speaker beeps and bloops sound effects. So it was really, I thought, a really interesting take on a sequel. It's about itself and about the games that may come out and did come out. Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
So, just to clarify, this entire denouement sequence was contrived so that you could talk about that one specific game, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
More
okay.
or less.
Just wanted to get clarification on that. Okay.
Yeah.
We're good.
Did any of you ever play it?
No.
Space Quest 4. It was really the last good Space Quest game, and it the whole thing among my little Space Quest club, and yes, I had a Space Quest club, was, if the series actually gets to Space Quest 10, will it be called Latex Babes of Estros? And unfortunately, the series stalled out at 6, and we never found out the answer to that question. But I just love the concept of going into the future of the series and the past of the series, and it was just unbelievably clever. So that was my choice for fantastic sequel.
That's great. It's a great description, actually. You really make me want to go back and play that one. I don't think I ever got past 2, but it also highlights what's interesting about how PC games back in the day, they just had interesting ideas. Interesting ideas that we don't see very often today.
Yeah, totally. And I guess if we were to sum up, all of our games, I mean, how would we define what makes a great sequel? Are there some universal truths that we can pull from this discussion? Obviously, improving upon the original is one. I think maintaining continuity or respecting the history of the series would be another.
I think it's really tricky, but it has to be almost dramatically different. I think in a lot of the cases that we all talked about here, they were really different in a big way, but yet it wasn't in a way that felt wrong. It was in a good way different. We talked about Majora's Mask, talked about Persona 4, Resident Evil Dead Aim, and they were all sort of really unique takes on the genre. So I think originality is a part of it, I think.
Yeah, it's sort of like, adding a couple of new spices to what was already a great dish. Mm-hmm. And just, keeping what made it good to begin with, but not, adding too much spices to where it just becomes terrible. So,
yeah, it's a fine line to walk, a very fine line.
Yeah, a very, very fine line. Mm-hmm.
You could say Mark Hamill, the addition of Mark Hamill to a sequel improves it drastically.
I wonder if you're going to bring up Wing Commander, and then we could debate whether Wing Commander 1 was better than Wing Commander 2 again. But yeah,
we need to do that at some point. I know. I also want to talk about Wing Commander Prophecy, which is just an abysmal failure, and it makes me angry just to think about it. But
I like that one, but yeah, another podcast.
Yeah, another podcast. So why don't we wrap things up for this podcast, episode 30. Just want to remind everybody that you can subscribe to the show through iTunes, through the Zune Marketplace, or listen right on the GameCritics.com homepage. That's also where you can leave comments. So anyway, any last thoughts, guys, before we say goodbye?
I would just like to thank all the readers for their overwhelming show of support for my diverging viewpoint on Mass Effect 2. The outpouring of love was pretty tremendous, and I'm really happy to see that pretty much the entire internet came together on this issue to promote an alternative viewpoint. So thanks very much to the entire internet. I love you guys. Thank you.
I don't think there's anything left to be said. So for Brad Gallaway, for Mike Bracken, for Cheat Kong Lu, and Richard Nyack, I'm Tim Spaeth. Good night, and bon chance.